Here's the deal. I have never watched nor read any of Game of Thrones prior to this video. About a month ago, I was attracted to reading the Game of Thrones series because I wanted to see if it lived up to this insane hype that it's built itself. Currently, I just finished reading the first and second novel, which, by the way, were really, really good. The hype was just so well deserved. This being the reaction of me finishing the first book. Wow. Wow, just wow. Yeah, I am definitely hooked. I will say, in the beginning of reading it, it was very tedious. There's a lot of different characters and relationships going on. Like 100 to 200 pages, had trouble with that and found myself flipping to the back of the book quite often, but now we're on to book 2. Ollie, are you hyped for book 2? He says yeah. The Game of Thrones series is known for having just extremely long books. Look at this. Them being anywhere between 800 to 1,200 pages. So I'm curious, how fast can I finish a Game of Thrones book? I can tell you it took me way longer to finish these 2 books, and this one is definitely longer. With the audiobook saying it's gonna take 47 hours, so I'm gonna try and beat that. I just went to all my favorite local bookstores in Savannah, and they did not have the 3rd Game of Thrones book, so now I'm off to my home away from home. They do not have the little copy, but they have the big copy. They didn't have it, so Amazon it is. And don't worry, I got some other stuff as well. There it is! Storm of Swords, that's so sick. New coffee! I'm gonna sit down and try and read a little bit of this. This is day 1. I just read my first 100 pages in the book. So I've been reading this book for a couple hours now, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot has already happened. Jaime Lannister is headed back to King's Landing now, and he, out of nowhere, shaves his head to disguise himself. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Arya is heading north to try and meet up with her family again. She's also doing this like cool thing where she's like repeating the names of all the people that have like wronged her family. So far, I think she's probably my favorite character, her or Tyrion. Tyrion hasn't done that much in this book so far. He's still recovering from the battles from the last book, and Jon Snow now is currently investigating the wildlings. So, lots of stuff. This is only the first 100 pages of 1,000, so let's keep reading. I just read like 70 more pages, and not too much has happened in these chapters that I just read, but more or less it's just giving you different details for the story and setting up the rest of the story. These books are less about what actually happens and more about the different conversations that the different characters have, so this is to be expected. I will say I'm enjoying it a lot so far. Good morning. If I stay consistent and read like another 200 pages, I'll probably finish the book in the next like 3 days. Right, Allie? I really cracked the spine of the book this time. You can see the spine through the split of the pages. That sucks. What do you see, Holly? Now, I only read to page 383 today, which is a little bit less than I wanted to, but I hope to read a little bit more before I go to bed, so. Actually, scrap all that. I'm gonna go see a movie for the first time since I've been back from Savannah. I'm gonna go see Inside Out 2. This is pretty good. Good morning. Ollie and I are going for a little walk. Today is my birthday, and yesterday we did not read as much as I wanted to. I think we're on page like 366, so today we're gonna grind. Right, Ollie? So I just got through the 400 page mark and I'm at the part where Jon Snow has let Ghost loose, and yeah. So I just read up to page 475 and I am feeling a bit of fatigue for the story. This isn't good, look how much more I have left. I've hit kind of like, I just feel like I need to get over this middle portion and into like, I don't know, the next act, because I'm getting a little bit bored. At this point, Tyrion has married Sansa, and Jaime lost his hand, and there's stuff happening. I'm just fatigued. But I'm gonna read something else for a little bit, and then I'm gonna try and get back at this in a little bit. So we've made a little bit of progress. I'm on page 658 now, so we're making a little bit of a dent. One thing I have noticed that's kind of funny, there's a lot of like little songs in here. I don't know, I think it's interesting. Now, to say the least, I'm hooked now. What just happened? I'm on page 856 and Joffrey just dies, and then poof, end of chapter. He chokes to death, and they're saying that it might be poison, and they don't really know who did it, but Sansa has finally kind of escaped. Ygritte died, and now Sam is all with Bran, and I don't know, I'm hooked. I definitely think I can get through these final pages, so. Check it out. I just broke the 1,000 page mark. That's insane. Home stretch. Only 200 more pages. So I did it. I finished reading this whole book in less than a week. This book was 1,200 pages, which is just extremely long. But as I read it, it felt like it flew by. I typically don't love to read long books like these, but these books perfectly utilize their runtime to tell the story that they need to tell. One thing that I found that I really liked about these books is that Martin takes these preconceived notions that we have for characters and completely dismantles them and shows the humanity underneath all these characters. For instance, Jaime's a character that prior to this novel, I wasn't too fond of. But in this book, we see his vulnerabilities and the tragedy of his character. Most of his character development is pulled from an unlikely friendship with Brienne of Tarth, who just overall teaches him how to care for others. The same flip of character happened to Tyrion, where you start to sympathize with him because you realize that his whole family is basically against him. The entirety of this series shows the Starks all being separated from the events that happened in the first novel. And basically everyone's trying to get back together. Every time you feel they may get back together, someone dies or something happens to change the trajectory of the story. There's also different layering to the stories, with each chapter being characterized by one of the 7 different perspectives. This really brings forward the notion of misinformation and that knowledge is overall power. Most notable being many of the characters thinking that Arya is dead. I can't even fathom how many plot twists happen in this novel alone. Many of them I had a visceral reaction to. The craziest one being the Frey and Stark wedding. Even the ending of the novel with Joffrey's death, I just couldn't stop reading, and Jon Snow being the last of the Stark standing and becoming the head commander of the Night's Watch. Also, Tyrion ends up killing his father, which I just did not expect. Also, Sansa's finally escaped King's Landing, kind of, but we are a little suspicious of her saviors. All I gotta say is this is definitely my favorite read of the series so far, and I'm so excited to read the next book. But there's something I gotta do first. I was just kidding. I'm definitely getting the 4th book.